Most people think glucose regulation works like a thermostat. You eat, blood sugar rises, the body responds, everything returns to normal. Simple. But the deeper researchers study glucose regulation, the more they realize the process may be far more dynamic than that. Because blood sugar isn't controlled by a single organ, or one hormone, or one decision. It appears to emerge from coordination. And that shift in thinking has changed what researchers are paying attention to. For a long time, the conversation focused mostly on one question. How much sugar is in the blood? That question still matters. But newer research directions increasingly ask something broader. How does the body decide what to do with energy? That subtle change opens a completely different conversation. Researchers now study glucose regulation as a network. Signals, timing, communication, adaptation, not isolated reactions. One area receiving growing attention is timing. Not simply what happens after eating, but what happens before. The body doesn't wait for food to arrive before preparing. Hormonal signals, sleep state, stress signals, previous meals, movement patterns, circadian rhythms. All of these appear to influence how the body responds long before food enters the picture. That idea surprised a lot of people, because it suggests glucose regulation may begin earlier than most imagine. Another area researchers continue exploring is variability. People often assume stable health means stable numbers, but researchers increasingly study flexibility. How efficiently does the body respond to changing conditions? How quickly does regulation adapt? How does the system recover? That perspective shifts attention away from chasing perfect moments and toward understanding patterns. Two people can eat the same breakfast. One experiences stable energy. One experiences an energy drop. One stays full. One feels hungry again quickly. Those differences have encouraged researchers to ask, what creates different responses? Some current areas of exploration include cell signaling, insulin response, energy availability, appetite regulation, muscle interaction, sleep quality, stress adaptation, gut-related communication pathways. Again, the goal isn't to find one master explanation. The goal is understanding how systems interact. That's where another important shift appears. Researchers increasingly describe glucose regulation as communication, not control. Control suggests one-direction movement. Communication suggests feedback, continuous adjustment. And that distinction matters, because regulation changes across the day. Morning can feel different than evening. Work stress can change responses. Recovery can change responses. Movement can change responses. People sometimes interpret these changes as inconsistency. Researchers often study them as adaptation. That difference in perspective matters, because adaptation isn't failure. Adaptation is what systems do. Another interesting area of study involves metabolic flexibility. Instead of asking whether the body can regulate glucose, researchers ask how efficiently it transitions between different energy demands. That means rest, activity, meals, fasting periods, recovery. Daily life becomes less about isolated events and more about transitions. There's also increasing interest in why subjective experience sometimes appears before measurable change. People often describe energy changes, focus changes, recovery changes, appetite changes, before numbers clearly reflect those experiences. Researchers continue exploring how internal signaling may contribute to those early perceptions. That doesn't mean subjective experience replaces measurement. It means experience can become another source of useful observation. The real issue isn't simply how much glucose is present. It's how the body coordinates energy decisions across changing conditions. That idea is shaping many newer conversations. And while research continues evolving, one theme keeps appearing. The body seems less like a machine following commands, and more like a system constantly adjusting. That doesn't make glucose regulation mysterious. It makes it more connected, and understanding those connections may eventually lead to better questions and better decisions. If you want a structured breakdown with practical examples explaining glucose regulation and everyday energy patterns, there's a step-by-step framework in the description. And if you enjoy calm, educational explorations of metabolism and health science, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.